Welcome back to the series where I'm walking around the whole of Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly in one trip. In this video, I'm starting off at Woolley, the source of the River Tamar, and by the end of the day, I make it back on the coast and to a follower's house. I then get a ride from my host and then from the anonymous meme page Jam and Meme to their show in Perranporth and get on stage with them in front of 1,000 people before getting a lift back to Bude and continuing along the hardest part of the Cornish coast, ending up just before Tintagel. Good morning from the woods. It is now day 16 and we have to get to Bude today, where someone has offered me a bed again, which is nice. However, it is a long way and I've heard from hikers on this walk that the Bude stretch is one of the worst. On top of that, my battery pack has not got any charge left, so I have to stop in a cafe at some point. I think there's one called Sandy Mouth somewhere, which I may have to stop at just before Bude. So we got a few plans today, but we'll be back on the coast again this morning, which is amazing. And yeah, let's brush our teeth and get going. Okay, I'm all packed up and ready to try and find my way back out of here again. Okay, 6.86 miles until Morwenstow. And only around the corner was the first landmark of the day. This is the source of the River Tamar, the main river that splits Cornwall and Devon, and a rather missable plaque that rests on Woolley Moor in Cornwall. After a quick stop, I headed back on the road and towards the first woods of the day that leads to the end of the Tamar Way. As you can probably tell by how much I'm sweating, that hill was not very fun, especially in the woods where like the path isn't actually a path, it's more just like leaves. But oh well, back on the flat and well, going down again. This last few miles of path actually ended up being quite nice, a contrast to the majority of the last few days being boring and tiresome road walking, and was getting me excited to be back on the coast path. Now all that was between me and the coast was this last massive hill out of the woods. I had finally made it back to the coast and finished the Tamar Way, and waiting at the sign only a few more steps away was a couple who had just finished their Tamar Way.
What we hadn't got in the van with us, you know.
Yeah, I've been living on like flapjacks and digestives.
Yeah, I'm sure you must have
and
been.
sweets.
I've got
one of them in here, that's my last resort, you know, flapjack. But
thankfully on the coast it's like a cafe every beach, so you know.
That's right.
Yeah, it's nice for the rest of it.
right, wow.
Proper job. Well, yeah, enjoy the rest of your route. I'm glad to have met someone who's been through the same pain as me.
Yeah.
And then, after a nice chat with them, I said goodbye and spent some time at the sign, reflecting on the journey so far. So, after about 82 miles, I've made it back to the coast path. You don't know how happy I am to see that acorn. It's different. There was a lot of road walking. I actually wouldn't recommend the Tamar Way. It's been not very nice. It's a lot of road walking, you know, cars going past and you have to pull in, get stung by stinging nettles. There are a few bits that were nice. It was nice that it was flat, but that's about it. Otherwise, by the rivers were nice, by sort of the Cowstock Way, or also right at this last bit there was a few miles of forest. So a few bits have been nice, but otherwise, yeah, it's not really worth it. The coast path is the bread and butter you want to do. But anyway, we've still got probably about another 190 miles-ish to go, so better start moving, eh? So after a quick few photos with the sign, I got back on my way and towards Morwenstow, where I was eyeing up an inn to charge up and eat at. And almost instantly the north coast was greeting me with a giant hill to climb. That's a lot of stairs. With some difficulty, I was thankfully past this massive climb, but it wouldn't be long until the next. It doesn't seem like there's an end to how many hills this coast path wants to throw at me. I'm shattered, but it's part of the fun, so. Already I could tell they weren't lying about how hard the north coast is. Well, that was very tricky to walk down. Right, my phone is currently on 10% and I've got no water left, so I'm deciding to go to Morwenstow, which is just over there. It's about a 10-minute walk, so fill up all my stuff, get charged, that's the plan. Morwenstow is the most northerly parish in Cornwall and was the home of the vicar Robert Hawker, who wrote Cornwall's unofficial anthem Trelawney and built Hawker's Hut, the National Trust's smallest building, out of driftwood from shipwrecks. And whilst I was here, I went into the pub to charge up, and grab some food as well. The owner also said they allow people to camp in their garden, being on the popular Tamar Way, but I declined as I had a place to go tonight. Okay, the time is 4 o'clock. We are fed, watered and charged up. So now it is time to head to Bude, where someone is working in a pub. He said I can stay at his house. Bude is probably about a 4-hour walk from here on the coast, I imagine. So he said that his place closes at 10, so as long as I get there before then, I should be fine. And I've got a bed, shower, the rest of it before I have to walk another 210 miles or something. So yeah, let's go. Being back walking on the coast was definitely exciting, but my feet were badly damaged from the Tamar Way, and the sight of the long and difficult coastline ahead of me was not giving me hope for the next few days. However, I had to push on, in the knowledge that I was now on Cornwall's hardest coast, and the next mountain I would have to climb would only be around the corner. In the distance I could finally see Bude, my final destination of the day, amongst about 10 other inclines and declines I had to look forward to. So I ignored my brain wanting to stop and carried on. This was a bit of an awkward one, having to walk between a mother, her calves and a cliff, but decided to try and walk around them. And then more dangerous cliff declines. absolutely killing. And it's still killing. With my feet not getting any better, I was dreaming about tonight when I'll be back in a bed and have a little more time to rest up than usual.
Steep drop.
On this section of the path, something that made it even harder were the amount of these zigzag bits, where the erosion meant that you had to spend more time climbing up these massive hills. Despite the hills though, this section was very visually appealing, a big contrast to the road walking I had been doing for the last 5 days. Quick update, as I haven't done too many today. The time is currently 7:30 and it's about 2 miles to Bude. Now the person who said I could stay at his house is currently working. He's at a concert, gig, event sort of thing, and he's invited me to it for free, and he said that if I get there for 8:45 the interval, he'll get me a free drink as well. So we're going to go to Bude, go to Co-op, get all supplies, and then meet him, watch half a show, have a good night. How does that sound? It seemed like every few minutes I was stopping to check how close I was, but I knew that I'd only get closer with each step I took and each hill I climbed. And yet again, I was back on another annoying zigzag path. But happy to see that I was finally only a mile away from Bude. Fighting away the thousands of flies, I was almost there. But not before having to cross one more busy road. Bude emerged during the 18th century as a small port, and then as a source for sea sand to improve inland soil, before later growing in popularity as a resort in the Victorian times, where it has stayed a tourist hotspot, particularly for surfing. I then arrived at the venue I was meeting my host for the first time, so I went inside and greeted him and found out that he was a sound engineer and was doing tonight's John Shuttleworth comedy show, so I sat with him for a couple hours. Look at
It's an absolute weapon.
Until we went back to his, where we had a chat for a couple of hours and I had a shower and a bed for the night. This next day ended up being one of the best nights of my life, but I didn't film too much, so I will have to narrate a lot of it. After waking up, we washed my clothes so I wouldn't have to worry about it in the future, and then Zav, my host, took me around Bude, where we had a pasty, saw the infamous Bude Tunnel that's rated higher than the Great Wall of China, and got introduced to some Bude locals. Today was now the day I had aimed to be in Perranporth to see Jam and Meme, a proud Cornish meme page that brings Cornish people together at drum and bass shows. After accepting I didn't have a way to get down to Perranporth, Zav then very kindly offered to drive me an hour closer to Wadebridge, stopping off to see the highest point of Cornwall, Brown Willie, until we parted ways, having shown me much kindness with my time with him. Right, it's probably time to fill you in, because there's probably been quite a big time gap. Today is the 17th and it is just past 2 o'clock now. Yesterday we stayed at a follower's house and there was a show and I watched it with him up from the top. He's a sound engineer, it was amazing. Went back to his, charged up all my stuff, chatted for ages. Then this morning he took me on a tour around Bude and he dropped me here to Wadebridge, where in about 20 minutes Jam and Meme, which is the biggest Cornish page, is picking me up to drop me to Perranporth where the concert is. So it's been an unbelievable experience this past day and a bit. I couldn't record much because obviously it's quite personal and having a camera in his face might change interactions, so I've been having fun. So in about half an hour Jam and Meme's going to come. We're going to go for a big Cornish festival and have a day off because my feet are killing, they're both swollen as, so day off's what we need, and then we'll be back on the path tomorrow. After posting that I couldn't find a way there, Jam and Meme himself offered to pick me up from Wadebridge as he was inspired by my walk. I got in the van with him and his crew and then shortly arrived at Perranporth, where even though I had paid for tickets, I got an instant backstage pass and spent the day with them. Being anonymous, I can't show their face, but I got free food, too many free pints, and had an amazing time. One of Cornwall's most famous bands, the Oggy Men, were there too, and they went up before us, before I got invited to go up on stage with Jam and Meme and have the time of my life.
Independence on Instagram. Everybody give him a round of applause. He's walking the Cornish perimeter. He's walking the Cornish coastline. Yes, Cameron. He's got one thing to say to you this evening. Colonel Bisvicon on her goal.
In front of over 1,000 people after walking almost 300 miles next to one of the people that inspired me to do the walk, this feeling was unbeatable. But after falling over a few times from my still bad feet, it was time to go backstage and watch the final part of the show. After they had finished, we took a few photos and had a backstage celebration song. Before we inevitably had to leave after having one of the best nights of my life, and I camped in the Perranporth sand dunes for the night. Just kind of up here in view of everyone, but that's alright, we haven't got any complaints. Well, yesterday was mental. I had the best set with Jam and Meme. Proper experience. It's amazing having little experiences like this on the trip. Just packed up my tent and now I've got to go to Spoons to wait for an hour or so until my dad comes so I can offload some footage, the rest of it. So yeah, kind of another relaxed morning, but we kind of need these for the feet, so yeah, let's get on. Definitely a tad hangover from all the free rattlers. I walked down to the Wetherspoons where I met my dad. He then drove me back to Bude, where we sat in a cafe for a few hours and offloaded some footage, before I was back on the Bude coast path again. so far because I haven't been recording. So it is currently almost 3 o'clock. We are back in Bude. I put my footage back on the laptop, so it's all backed up, which is good. And we are back on the route. My feet are a lot better today after a rest yesterday. After a mental night, it was amazing. But head's definitely hurting a bit this morning. But that's part of the fun. So we're back on the route. I'm hoping to make it probably about 10 miles today, and then proper walking again tomorrow. So yeah, let's get on the way. Also, my gimbal is broken. It kind of leans, so I have to tie it up with a piece of string to try and keep it steady. It does still work, so it's alright, but you know, it's part of the process, I suppose. You can't really bring a expensive bit of kit on a 400-mile trek and expect it to work. So yeah, let's go. After a day off, I could see the coastline ahead of me and couldn't wait to start walking again. I had now made it to Widmouth Bay, which, like a lot of Cornish places, isn't pronounced how it's spelt, and my host from a couple nights ago told me that another hard bit was just around the corner from here. So I prepared myself mentally for a hard couple of miles towards Millock.
Well, I'm glad I'm not walking up this.
But for every long way down, there's always a long way back up. Little update, my feet are currently killing again, and it's both feet this time, so that's not fun. Also, we've got a massive cliff, as you've just seen in the path, so Christ, this can be fun. That was pain. After that absolute mammoth of a climb, my feet were giving up on me, and every single step became a challenge. But with the sun about to go down, I was still trying to get as far as possible today. But with my steps getting slower and plenty more hills in the distance, I had to make a decision. Right, I'm calling it for today. My feet are almost unwalkable. It's pure pain every step, so we've got an amazing view. Probably top 2 so far, and yeah, we're happy. There's only one bark signal here, but that's alright, we'll have to deal with that. But otherwise, right down there's another cliff, like the other one I have to go down, and I cannot do that today. So the time is about 8 o'clock, about 40 minutes before sunset, but yeah, gotta do what I gotta do, rest my feet up today, and then I'll go again tomorrow. And what a view I chose. I kept a lookout for people nearby, but thankfully my tent was blocked from view on the path behind, and I set up my tent. Okay, the tent is up, and this is our view for tonight. I'm going to stay up and clothed until the sun goes down, just in case anyone comes and says something, and then I'm going to get some much needed sleep and rest for my feet, and hopefully tomorrow is looking like a better day in terms of terrain, so we'll have some fun, hopefully. So yeah, I'll see you in the morning. Goodbye. Good morning. We ended up getting a pretty good sleep other than my tent collapsing, but it wasn't as bad as the time before. Hopefully my feet are feeling a bit better. We'll get a bit more progress today. It's currently 9 o'clock, so a bit earlier than we've been starting. And past Crackington Haven, I think it's pretty good walking. So try and go a long way today. And yeah, let's pack up this tent and get going. Okay, I packed up my stuff and I'm gonna have some breakfast, brush my teeth, and then we are gonna head off. But the first part is quite tricky. There's a cliff. But the rest looks okay, so we should be alright. After looking at the coastline I'll have to tackle this morning, it was time to go. Okay, the time is now almost 9:30 and we are going to get a move on. And first up was the decline and incline I had put off yesterday. And the terrain definitely didn't decide to give me a rest this morning. Crackington Haven, with its interesting name, started as a small port, importing limestone and coal, and exporting slate from local quarries. A big resource around this area you can see all over the coast, with many of its buildings formerly made out of shipwrecked materials. And whilst walking into the village, I saw a pasty shop I couldn't resist, so got a pasty and enjoyed the view. I then filled up my waters and headed back out towards Boscastle. First goat of the trip. After going up and down an uncountable amount of hills, my feet were just about managing, and I was well on my way towards Boscastle and one of the most beautiful stretches of the Cornish coast path. Little update on myself. My feet, it's not really my feet, it's my toes. They're starting to hurt a bit again now, not enough where I can't walk. But we got about 3 miles to Boscastle, something like that. I'm trying to get just past Tintagel today, maybe just along the coast before Port Isaac. So yeah, getting a move on. It's very nice around here, a top spot. So yeah, that's keeping me going, I guess. Okay, I'm trying something new. I put my old socks under my toes in my boot. So hopefully, because my toes are the only part that's actually hurting, so if they're not like going up and down and they're just like stable, they should be okay and I should be able to get a bit more distance without having to stop. So we'll try it, I'll let you know how it works, but otherwise, yeah, I've still got quite a way left. I think the fix is kind of helping, to be honest. It's kind of always hurting instead of hurting every step, so I'm just kind of dealing with it. Yeah, I think I'll keep it like this. It's a bit better.
but I just have to try not to land too hard or it like really hurts, so yeah. Yikes.
Getting a bit creative to solve my problems, it was slightly helping with the pain, but I was still struggling along. These cool cliffs and landscapes did help distract me though, giving me something else to focus on.
I have to state again that unless you do this yourself, you'll never get the full experience. It may look amazing on video, but you know, the sounds, the smells, the people is the main thing. You meet them and you have a chat with them and they're hiking as well. It's a proper experience. So far it's been probably the best experience of my life, but definitely the hardest as well, but it's definitely worth it. I urge you to give it a go. Well, wish me luck.
I thought this was quite cool, a wall built on a bed of quartz rocks. Boscastle was first inhabited around 1080 and is a village that grew around its natural harbour, which was the only one 100 years ago along 40 miles of the North Cornwall coast, becoming the busiest port in the 19th century for the exporting of slate and other local produce. It's arguably best known for its museum of witchcraft and magic today. While I was there, I stopped in the shop for some snacks and enjoyed a cornetto before heading back on the coast path.
So here are the current dilemmas I'm facing. The time is now 5:30 and in 3 hours, obviously it's sunset, but that's the time it takes to walk to Tintagel, which is one of the most famous Cornish places maybe. It's where the whole King Arthur myth is about, and that's a lot of tourists. I would have liked to go to Tintagel Castle, however that is closed now and opens again at 10 tomorrow. I also, with how slow I've been walking, wanted to wake up early tomorrow, so if I walk 3 hours to Tintagel, there's going to be nowhere decent and it's going to be full of people in the morning. If I wake up early, I won't get to go to the castle, but if I wake up later, then people are going to find me. So if I take it slow, I can camp around the corner, but there's not very good spots, so I'm kind of in a weird dilemma at the moment, how fast I want to go, what time I want to wake up tomorrow. And yeah, so not 100% sure how tonight's going to pan out, but yeah, I suppose I'll keep on walking. I'll probably make it around the corner to Tintagel. There's an inn there as well I want to go to, but probably be a bit late to go there now. Yeah, bit of a weird situation. I usually have things pretty figured out, but yeah, guess we're gonna have to try and figure it out as we go.
Unsure of what the plan was going ahead, being a big tourist hotspot coming up and not many good places to camp, I carried on at a decent pace, deciding to solve it later. Getting closer to Tintagel, I decided to check the weather and noticed that it was supposed to rain tomorrow and the majority of next week, something I wasn't looking forward to, having been thankful to avoid a lot of it during the walk so far. I was now beginning to see the piles of slates that this corner of Cornwall is known for.
It's quite cool around here. You can see old remnants of old ancient homes, and we're not even at Tintagel yet, which is like the main part, but hold on, if I zoom in down here, you see down there we've got a wall over there too, and that's what they build them out of, that stuff there. There's piles of it everywhere. Mental.
In this small area, they had quite a few named rock formations, such as Grower, Fred's and Saddle Rock, and Lady's Window, which gave this short stretch a bit of a charm.
Okay, so we're just about to come up to Tintagel, which you can see in the distance. However, there's no decent camping spots past Tintagel, and obviously at being a major tourist spot, you don't really want to get very close with a tent. The thing is though, there's another hour until sundown, and unless I camp here, which isn't the worst idea, I'm kind of stuck because I can't go too far past, and my feet are also killing, so I'm kind of thinking whether to stay here or to just try and go past, because there's nowhere good. It's a weird one. I'll have to have a think. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes trying to decide, and I don't know if you can hear, but they're actually moving cattle in the field behind this field, so probably not the best idea to stay here, so I'm going to go a bit further and try and find somewhere and hopefully not get a spot and have to come back.
So I decided to go ahead and look for a spot away from a cliff and away from possible morning tourists. This path actually went straight through a campsite, but I'd already made it this far without one, so decided to go past.
Right now, we're walking just past the campsite. It's got 101 trailers and I saw a few tents, and I'd love to camp there, but we don't camp in campsites because we don't want to pay money to camp in the wild. Why would you do that? So we are currently walking past amazing spots that I could camp that aren't in the campsite, but they're right next to the campsite, which is a bit weird if you camp in a spot next to a campsite. So I'm trying to find one around the corner, hopefully, which should be similar to this sort of natural terrain. So yeah, that's what I'm doing at the moment. It's sunset in about 20 minutes, so I've got to get a move on a little bit. Christ. Now that woods looks very promising. Okay, we're at a crossroads now. I don't know if you can hear me because there's a rather loud river, but as you can see, that way is 2 miles to Tintagel, which I can't go to because it's very touristy and there won't be a good spot. And that way is a woods, which could be alright, but in a third of a mile there is a road and a main cottage place. So 3/4 of a mile the other way, near Tintagel, is another village, but it also, that way, looks quite hilly and not a lot of good camping spots. So I'm thinking I might go down the third a mile that way and see if there's a good spot and then see what happens. So yeah, that's what we're doing.
So I decided to go and look for a camping spot in the Rocky Valley Woods, the same woods which has another popular tourist attraction of St Nectan's Glen, a cool waterfall, which meant that I had to be careful where I set up. They also had these intriguing 3,500-year-old cottages that I would have to be careful camping around.
Now, as cool as it would be to stay somewhere that's 1800 BC, I'm respectful and I'm not going to camp in these, so I have to go a bit back up. So I'm a bit away from the path right now. The rock things are down there somewhere. The path is just over there, so you can't actually see where I am from the path. And decent view if I get past these trees, and it's quite flat, so it may be the spot right here. Something cool I haven't pointed out yet, which there's been loads of, is this plant. You might know it. It's called, I don't actually know the real name. Everyone calls it Sticky Willy down here because it sticks. Yeah, just a cool little plant. But yeah, I think right here is where I'm going to put up the tent for the night. Okay, the tent is up. However, we are on a slight hill, but it's the only spot, as you've seen, that's around, so gonna have to deal with it. It's been a okay day. We haven't made it that far. I think we made it about 13-14 miles. It's okay. It's more the feet that's the issue, and also I'm taking quite a few stops just to look where I am and where is good for camping. I need to kind of cut that out, but other than that, we've done alright. We've come quite far from Bude over the last 2 days, which is good. We've got Tintagel tomorrow, which is one of the best places in Cornwall in my opinion. However, we won't be able to go to the castle if I'm waking up early, which I most likely am given this spot and needing to get distance. I'm going to plan to get to Port Isaac tomorrow evening-ish, maybe a bit before, so I can charge up all my stuff because my power bank is low and my batteries are low. But yeah, other than that, it's been pretty good, and I shall see you all tomorrow.
Join me next time to see me carry on my journey, past King Arthur's home of Tintagel, along one of the most beautiful sections of the Cornish coast path, where I failed to find a spot to camp hours after darkness around Port Isaac, cross the Camel River to Padstow, and finish on the cliffs at Morwenstow, amongst many events that you don't want to miss.